Hey, what's up? My name is IRL Anime Boy, and this is going to be an advanced guide on food zipping in Owlboy, how to do them, what all can happen, what all can go wrong, and how we're going to use them. So, first of all, what is a food zip, or a quote-unquote dine and dash in Owlboy? Well, it is when you try to both eat and grab a piece of fruit at the same time. When you do it properly, it will send you in a kind of like a backwards arc where you will go forward and up a little bit, and then you will arc back behind and up from where you start and where you are facing. So for instance, if we were to start here, we would kind of come out a little bit, and then we'd arc back way up in this direction, right? So, how is it used? It's used to get out of bounds in a lot of different situations, and it's also used to traverse some of the maps a lot quicker than we could using other variations of out of bounds. So, how do we do this? Well, you need to hold both left and right click at the same time. Ideally, you want to try and do this while you're on the ground or while you're rolling in the air. So that way, like here, I'll show you. If you do it while you're just hovering, you'll start to spin out of control and you'll fall, right? So ideally, you want to start while you're on the ground or rolling through the air when you click both of these buttons. Now, you need to get over top of a fruit that is in the ground, and it has to be all the way in the ground. It cannot have been pulled out at all, otherwise it will not work. So, once you're over the piece of fruit, holding both eat and grab buttons, I believe it's left and right trigger or L1, R2 on a controller, and then it's left and right click on keyboard and mouse, and you will get the prompt to grab it. Generally, when you are close enough, you want to let go of both buttons at the same time, and you'll go sailing off. Just like I said, you'll come up and then you'll go back that way. So now that we're in this position, how do we get out of it? You can see this camera stayed still and I don't know where I am. What do? Well, you need to hit right click twice and it'll reset your camera and you'll be fine. I believe, I'm not sure if it's left or right click or left or right trigger on controller. Whatever, I believe it's the eat button in particular. Eat or throw or grab. Yeah. Anyway, I'm unsure. Ask Zik3 about that. I'm not the most familiar with the controller. Anyway, going back. So what can go wrong with the zip? There's a lot of things that can go wrong with zips, and you might not know what to do in a situation. So let's say, you're setting up and whatever, and then you try and zip, and okay, I did it correctly. Whoops. Let's really try and fail this time. Okay, so you're going for the zip, and oh no, what happened there? So what happened there is I let go of right click first and held on to left click, and I just drop out of there. But what you'll normally see if you mess up a zip is that. That is because you let go of both buttons, not at the same time. This is very, very, very picky. You have to do it on the same frame, otherwise it will not work. And generally you will grab the fruit that you're trying to zip off of. Now, just to reset, I believe on controller you can just press, it's either whatever the spin button is. I think it's square on PS4 controller and X on Xbox controllers. But you can just press the spin button and you'll be flying on that. But for PC, you have to hit right click to let go of the fruit, and then hit both buttons again, and then make sure you're in the air. So it's a little bit slower to reset on PC than it is, or on a keyboard and mouse than it is on controller, but and then you'll just try and go again and let go of the fruit, do your buttons, and then hopefully you get it eventually. Like that. Anyway, so that is your basic zip. Generally, that's really the only things that'll go wrong with a normal one. But there are variations on zips. A few, in fact. The first one I'll show off and show how to do it and everything is up cancels. So what's an up cancel? And what do we do it? How do we do it? An up cancel, kind of in the name, is you hit up while you're doing the zip. What this is doing is basically when you're in the zip, you're basically following the motion of when you like eat a fruit. See how he tosses it up and it, you know, whatever. Basically, when you hit up, you are canceling that up toss, you know, motion or whatever by pulling on the fruit. All this is not really going to make sense, but you're pulling on the fruit, which cancels the upward momentum that you're getting, and so you will not go up as high. So the effect that you get when you press up is very dependent on when you do it in the zip. If you do it very, very early in the zip, you will end up in a very different location of where you would end up if you hit it later in the zip, even if it's just by a fraction of a second. So, for example, here, this is where this first zip in the game, this is where you would use an up cancel, for instance. So I will try and show you. So there, you can hear I did a flat in the middle of that zip. And hopefully you saw in the input display that I pressed W or pressed up in the middle of that zip. And I ended up here. So in this zip in particular, there's several places that you can end up. Here is the most common. This is not ideal, but it is good. It still gets you out of bounds, and it's much, much lower. So you end up here when you do up cancel, but if you don't do an up cancel, you end way up here, right? So up cancel, very, very worth doing there. And let me try and show you what doing it at the correct timing will look like. Oops. Okay. I messed up here. So what happened is I messed up the zip and I grabbed onto the fruit. And because I was trying to do an up cancel, I pull up on the fruit. If you remember, I said earlier, you can only do zips on fruit that are fully in the ground. So in this case, this fruit, if I try to zip off of it, it will not work anymore. So what I recommend doing is pulling it all the way out of the ground and either tossing it or eating it. I prefer eating it because in the speedrunning, having fruit health is always really nice. So let's try and reset here. Oops. All right, so if you pull out all your fruit, you unfortunately have to reload from checkpoint and try again. So here's another result. This one in particular, I actually got very lucky. So this is the ideal. This is the ideal situation. It's like a 7 frame window. It's a very, very small window on that zip in particular, in which if you hit up during it, you will end up under this box, which saves another 2 to 3 seconds of time, and then you would go on with your life. So what can really go wrong with an up cancel? Well, because you pull on the fruit, normally you pull up once, you pull up twice, and it's out, correct? Well, because we pull up on the fruit while it's in the air, because we pull up on the fruit while we're like zipping or whatever, we pulled it up once. So what happens if you pull up on it again? Well, oh, whoops, I forgot to show. Let's do this properly. There we go. So I pulled up once, pull up twice, it crashes the game. So don't pull up twice. Pull up once. This is how I kill a lot of my runs, is by accidentally pressing up twice. It's very, very easy to do it. Yeah. Now, I will say, there's another thing that can happen, and that is if you press up twice very quickly. Say, like, you accidentally spam the key. So now you can see I did the zip, and I didn't crash the game. However, if you notice, Otis looks like he's holding on to something. That's because when you do a zip, you perform both actions. You grab onto the fruit, and you eat it. So the fruit does not exist because we ate it, but we pulled it out of the ground. So we're still holding on to it. I believe if you pull up twice before in the animation of the zip, you will pull it out of the ground, you know, before he eats it or whatever. So that's why you're still holding on to the fake fruit. Whereas if you press up the second time after you have heard the eating sound, that's when it just crashes the game. Anyway, so when you're in this state, you can't do anything. You can see I'm trying to spin, I'm trying to do whatever. I can roll around, but I come over to this fruit. You can see I can't even touch the ground. That's because we're still holding the fake fruit that doesn't exist anymore. Anyway, so don't press up twice. It'll either crash your game or you get this. So yeah. Anyway, moving on. There's even more things that we can do with zips. The next one I'll show you is turnaround zips. So turnaround zips, similar to up cancels, you turn around in the zip. This one's a little bit easier, and it has a lot less that can go wrong with it, other than just, you know, not doing the zip at all. So here, I'll show you. We're gonna go to this set of fruit. This is where you would do this in any percent, for instance, or all. I'm pretty sure most out of bounds categories use this set of fruit in particular. So you'll zip. You'll see I'm facing left. So in this case, I'm going to turn right. I'm gonna hit the right key while as the zip is happening. So let's try and do the zip. And you can see I turned around, and that is gonna set me out of bounds. Now, I will show you the reason why we do that zip there, the turnaround in particular. So there's a normal zip, I didn't press anything, but you can see I ended up slightly inbounds, correct? So, what a turnaround zip does is at the beginning of the zip, you will go out this way where you're facing, and then you'll come back. So if you turn around, you'll say I'm facing left, I'll come out this way, and then when I turn around, it changes the direction of the arc. So now instead of coming back this way, I will now move backwards back in that direction. So I'll still be going the same direction the whole time. Now if you turn around much earlier, you'll not get as much of that effect. So say I turn around like almost at the very, very beginning of the zip, then I will not go nearly as far as if I wait until Otis gets like way out here. And then same thing, if you turn around way at the end of the zip, then you'll still not get as much of the effect. But yeah, so, and that can work going both ways. So here I'm facing left and I'm gonna turn right. And you can, oh, I just did that one, I'm stupid. It's confusing because zips go backwards. All right, turning, facing right, turning left. And you can see it does the same thing. So, that's a turnaround. Again, there's not a lot that can really go wrong with it. It's just making sure you get the zip and then turning the correct direction. So, let's show off. Let me load up a save really quick. Let's show off a early cancel. What is an early cancel? Well, an early cancel is where you will stop the zip early. Why am I moving so slow? Oh, it's because I'm not holding left. Duh. But yeah, so I've showed that normally try and get this gawk away from me. And I believe the Rockman's, oh no, he's still going for it. Let's just ignore him. So basically, you want to stop the zip early. You do this on PC, you spam right click. I believe that's like the left trigger maybe on controller. But you will hit right click twice before the zip ends. So normally you hit right click or the grab button twice to reset your camera, but if you do it early, it'll reset the camera and it'll stop all your momentum. So we use it here to just get this tiny little distance that we need to get up into the ceiling, right? Gawk, leave me alone. I believe I got a checkpoint, so I'm just gonna reset here. Yeah, cool. So for this one, we're gonna come up and we're gonna do the zip, hopefully. And if you spam right click, or if you hit the right click or let go button twice fast enough, you will end up out of bounds and you will not go the full distance. You can see I ended up to the left of where I was, so I was still pretty early in the zip. Normally, if you don't let go, you end up like out of bounds somewhere over there. I don't know. Now what can go wrong with this? Well, really the only thing that can go wrong is if you spam it too much. Or like end up in positions like that where you do it too late. But I have had instances where I spammed it immediately and I basically moved like from here to here, just because you do it so fast. So the last variation of zip I'm gonna show off is what is called a up cancel turnaround, or more specifically a jumping up cancel turnaround. This zip is a pain. It's very difficult and it takes a while. You'll definitely have to practice this one, but it is very useful, especially in Owl Temple. I'll show it there here in a moment. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to start on the ground or while you're rolling up, like while you're actually moving upwards through the island. So if you do this, if you're very, very good at it and you're comfortable with it, what you can do is instead of landing on the ground, you can just roll up, do the zip, and nail it, right? But the reason why I like starting on the ground is you can just jump and immediately do the zip. So, what needs to happen is you need to jump, hold W, let go of both buttons, and then let go of W. Once you've started the zip and hopefully you hit W, or hopefully you were holding W or up while performing the zip, you need to immediately spam left, or on controller just like hold left. So I will try to do this and hopefully get it within a few tries. I didn't do it correctly there, but you can kind of see what I'm going for. Let's give it another go. No. Like I said, this is a very, very difficult zip in particular. There we go. So you'll know you got it correct when you just kind of skate, kind of just go in that straight line across. Now, this in particular, like style of zip is where I will see the game crash the most, or I will soft lock the most, because you're like spamming left. It's kind of easy to also accidentally hit W again. So now we can see I didn't soft lock myself by hitting W too much, and we are now right at the professor's house. So that's where it's used here in Veli, and I will load up a save here. Let's go to... Hopefully this one's okay. Yeah. So I will show you how we do this Owl Temple one. It's the exact same zip. It's just, you know, used in a different location. I'm gonna reload so I get my fruit health back. Gonna do a quick pillar clip to get to this pair of fruit. This is not how you should do the 90% route necessarily, the quickest. This is just for the sake of getting to the fruit and showing. So, on this pair of fruit, you're gonna do the exact same thing I just did in Veli. You want to set up for your zip. Obviously, you can't be rolling up into this, so you have to do it jumping. You're gonna jump. I didn't do it, or I did it too late. And there you go. And you'll know you did it right if you end up right in here. Sometimes you'll end up on the ground, and sometimes you'll end up in the air, and then you'll be able to do your partner toss and whatever, and then, you know, you drop down, whatever, and you go on with your life. So that's how you use that zip, and yeah, I believe that's all the iterations of the trick, and how you use them, what to be looking out for, as far as like how you know you messed up, and yeah, so if you have any questions, the Owlboy speedrunning Discord is the perfect place to ask. We all have enough knowledge to hopefully help you figure out what you're doing wrong and how we can help you. Anyway, I've been IRL Anime Boy, and good luck speedrunning.